to another episode of Photo Mode. Today we're going to explore the world of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but I haven't played much of this game yet, so most of the photos are from pretty early parts in the game, and we'll just have to see how I go, and maybe we'll have to revisit this one at a later date. But let's jump straight into the actual camera mode or photo mode in this game and have a little bit of a talk about it. So it's pretty in-depth, it's a lot better than Red Dead Redemption and fairly similar to Forza in a way. So we've got some zoom range, which is pretty good. We'll just use this little test dummy thing here for the photo. So you can move around pretty well with the D-pad. And what am I doing here? Okay, so there's composition mode, and then there's the other mode, whatever it's called. And then here I'm changing the depth of field, and you can move your focusing point. So we'll focus on little armor test dummy dude here, and you can see this doesn't seem to be a huge range on the depth of field. Like once you go a little bit out, it seems to just all be in focus. But if you move the focus point all the way down to the bottom and then slowly bring it up as I'm doing here, you can see how narrow the focusing point is. So it's good, but it kind of like, it seems to be, I don't know how to explain it. Once you get to a certain point, the whole background seems to be in focus, where I think there should be probably a little bit more range there, but it's okay. Exposure, contrast, temperature, tint, saturation, noise, vignette, bloom, and fog are all things that I didn't touch at all. Here's vignette a little bit, but the funny thing is that on this photo, the fog probably works out the best. On every other photo I tried it on, it just sort of looked crappy, but here it kind of gives you a bit of a fog of war feel, but whatever. Of course, as usual, I do all of those sorts of things in my edit in Lightroom after. So there are presets as well, so if you don't have access to something like Lightroom and you want to just try and edit in the game, it is pretty decent, and all these presets will just give you some different moods here. That just about covers it, but there's a couple of other little things that I missed. I changed over to Cassandra here. Edit mode is the other mode, what it's called. So composition mode and edit mode. When we're on Cassandra here, you can change the grid. I wouldn't worry about it, leave it at this one. The rule of thirds is good. You can put the headgear on and off. So if you are taking photos of your character and you don't want the headgear on, or you want it on, you have that option. The other thing that I forgot before is the tilt. So you can tilt, and we're gonna get sick here looking sideways. I did take one photo with the tilt, and we'll have a look at that shortly, but I tried to not make you sick during the video. So let's move on here and have a look at the first photo that I have here. And this is a pretty simple one, but the buildings are quite stunning in this game, and they've gone into a lot of detail with just the little things that are around. So you've got pots and you've got cloth hanging and all sorts of things. So when I actually took this photo that I'm trying to sort of reproduce here, the time of day was much better. Now there is an option to sort of change the time of day in this, but not in the photo mode itself. So here I got a bit of a afternoon sunset shot, which I think looks kind of nice, and a lot of this comes down to luck and just when you're exploring the world, what the time of day is, and looking for the right angles. So I'm pretty happy with the composition and symmetry of this shot. I think it looks pretty good, the way that you've got the contrast of the pots on the right, and I don't know if it's a fire pit or a bin or something on the left there, but it all ties together quite nicely. And then in my edited version of this, I've sort of just brought out the contrast a bit more, tried to make it a little bit darker and make those reds in the pots pop a little bit more. Not too much in the way of editing here, but I think the shot turned out pretty well. So we can move straight on to the next one then. So this next one, this is what I was talking about with our time of day. I don't know if this changes if the, so here you can see, hold down, I guess it's the back button to meditate on the Xbox. So I'm not sure if this gets rid of rain. If it does, that's probably really good because rain sucks in this game and looks terrible. I'm not sure if it has, but regardless, when I took this shot, it was just nighttime, so we're just trying to reproduce that now. So I found these ruins and I was like, these could make for a cool shot, and the moon is exactly where it is now, or pretty close to it, and it was sort of shining through the ruins, and I was like, this could be a really nice shot. So just here somewhere, I'm sort of looking through for the shot, trying to get this foreground in focus and blur out the background a little bit, but I didn't want it to be entirely blurred. So you'll see here when I switch to the edit mode in a second, once I've got my composition right, that I don't go all the way with the depth of field, but it does still look pretty cool with the depth of field all the way up because you've got that nice ledge in focus. But the moonlight coming through looks really nice. So there's the shot. So the moon might have been in a slightly different position. I don't know if the moon position changes based on the day or what. I've got no idea about any of that stuff. But I sort of set up a little frame here with this, I'm not sure if it's a broken wall or if it's just the way there's like a window in it or something, but it sort of draws your eye in, and I like what I've done there. The thing that I have changed in my edit here, as you'll see in a second, is I've taken out a lot of the color, but replaced it with more of a orange, I guess. It's a warmer color, so it was very blue light from the moon, which is probably more accurate, but I wanted to warm this picture up a bit because it just, to me, didn't quite have the feel that I wanted. So there's also been a vignette applied, making the edges a bit darker, and once again drawing your eye in. So I'm pretty happy with how that one turned out. Now this one, when I came back to do the recreation here, I didn't do the change of the time of day or whatnot, but it's raining and it looks awful. The colors in this game seem to just go grey when it's raining, and also the raindrops don't look great at all. They're just lines through pictures, so don't think you really want any pictures with rain in this game. So I just found this little pond and this flower bed, and yeah, I fiddled around with composition on this one for quite a while. Still not super happy with it, and I'll show you one thing that I think I would have changed if I was to take this photo again. But you can't fiddle with these photos forever or you'll never get anything done. So this is essentially the photo, and we go to the brighter version that I actually took. So you can see the reflections are a lot more meaningful when the sun is actually out, and the light on the building behind is quite good. The thing that I would have changed is on the right of the photo you can see the people. Now it's not too bad to have the people in the photo, but I feel like I've sort of cut them off a little bit there. So either recompose and have it so that they're actually in and there's a little bit of a gap after them, or take them out completely. Either way, if I had done that, I think the shot would have been a bit better because it's a little distracting to me to have them there, but it's still a decent photo. So then what I've done in this edit is a pretty heavy looking edit, but it's really just changing the contrast to be a lot darker, and the blue in the sky is one of the more noticeable things, is just sort of adjusting those colors a little bit. So it sort of just looks like a pretty basic filter, I guess, but it's just changing a lot of contrast and colors. So that's about all there is for that one. I'm pretty okay with how that one turned out. So then we'll move on to a shot that I really wanted to get. You see my beat up boat here, is I wanted to get an underwater shot because I've seen a few of these sorts of shots. Now, I did at first want to get something where you could sort of look up and see the boat, but it was actually really hard to get that sort of shot. It seemed like you had to be really close to the boat, and then you didn't have much interesting things happening in the foreground or anything. So I found a water cabin, a shipwreck thing here, and got some sharks. Had to get their attention a little bit, and this is basically the photo I ended up with, but the sharks are obviously always going to be in different positions. When I actually did take the photo, I got the sharks' attention a bit more than I did just here. So that's essentially the photo. We'll see it now. Yep, so I kind of like the positioning of the sharks a little bit better in this one, and the fish and everything look really good there, so happy with this shot. Potentially could have given the shipwreck at the top a little bit more space. Does feel a little claustrophobic at the top, but I'm not too worried about that. You don't want too much blank space above the sharks, but it's okay, I think. And then for the edit, I went pretty dark on this one. Yeah, so this has got a vignette applied, obviously, pretty heavy vignette, and the colors have been changed a lot. Now, you might prefer the original version of this one, and that's fine. I wanted to make it look very dark and mysterious, like the bottom of the ocean is, and it was a little bit too light and happy for me before, so I'm okay with this shot as well. I would like the boat maybe to be a little bit more, to pop a little bit more, but it's okay. You could edit these photos for a lot longer if you really wanted to, but sometimes you just gotta let it be what it is. So this next one here, I found this little sailing boat thing out on the ocean, and there was a sunset, and it was looking all very pretty. And this is where you would have been sick if if I was to just leave this how it is. So doing the tilt in this game and then trying to align your shot is a complete nightmare. And there might be a better way of doing this, but I'm not sure. So here you'll see that I've just rotated the whole screen here, so it's a bit easier for you to see, but it'll look like I'm completely uselessly moving the camera around, because it's very hard to move around once you've changed it for whatever reason. I don't know if Forza was like that. It may have been. But basically, tried to get something a little bit different here, and I like the shapes for a vertical rather than just a landscape. So that composition was actually a lot different to what the final shot here is, but I'm a bit further back, so we get a little bit of this rock under the water in, and the way that the light hits across the water I think looks really nice. The clouds are obviously a very important part as well, so time of day once again is essential for this type of shot. Once again, a pretty heavy edit on this one, so we changed the colors up a lot. Yeah, so I like this one. So a lot of those browny yellow colors show through a lot more, and then we've got that rock in the water. It seems to shine through a lot more with the greener water rather than just the straight blues. So it's a pretty heavy edit once again, and you might not like it as much, but that's up to you. And that is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So this game is absolutely massive, and I've barely scratched the surface. And at the start of this video, you would have seen me take the leap of faith from Athens. I didn't even explore Athens before I recorded that, so that wasn't part of the photo shoot at all. So there's plenty more photos that could be taken in this game, and I'm sure plenty of people already know how incredible the game looks. So I may do another episode in this game at some stage, but I probably need to push through and play it a little bit more. Red Dead was easy because I'd already finished the game and I knew a lot of the areas, and Forza is just easy to cruise around and take photos. So that might have to be a future project, but I've got a few more on the way, and if you want any of these photos that you've seen, I put them up on the Predictable Amusement Flickr account. There'll be a link in the description, and there's no watermarks or anything, so use them for wallpapers or whatever. That last one might be a nice phone wallpaper if you're looking for something a little bit different. But I think that's going to do it. So and we'll catch you next time.